Alright, what's going on, everybody? Week 2 of the AVFL is underway. We got a lot to get to, so let's get right into it. I will go through every game, some stats to stand out. Now I'll give you my Colin Coward's 3-word NFL summation for it, and I'll do a little diversion of that. But other than that, let's get right into it. We start Thursday Night Football, Bengals and Browns, and the Bengals won 44-35. For the Bengals, Matt Stafford went 34 for 54. 332 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. David Montgomery, 67 yards and a touchdown on 23 carries. Will Fuller had a 2-yard run, but his receiving shown brightest. 9 catches, 106 yards and a touchdown. Even Gronkowski had 5 catches, 30 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, Patrick Peterson had 7 tackles, 2 picks. One was returned for a touchdown, and we're out to winning AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Then Xavier Woods had 10 tackles and a pick. Eric Wilson had 6 tackles and a pick. 4 interceptions. Derek Carr was the quarterback for the Browns. He went 39 for 56, 453 yards, 3 touchdowns, and those 4 picks. Nyheim Hines, 16 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Ronald Jones had 9 carries for 15 yards and a touchdown. That was before he got hurt. He's going to be out for a few weeks. Antonio Brown, 9 catches, 163 and 2 touchdowns. Deshaun Jackson, 8 catches, 139 yards and a touchdown. Eric Berry picked off Matthew Stafford. So my 3 words for Bengals Browns, in reverse gear. Carr had such a good game back in week 1. He just got stuck into reverse gear. Hopefully he bounces back the next week. We're going to Giants at Bears for the next game. Giants win 37-32. Matt Ryan, 26 for 41, 317 yards, 2 touchdowns. No picks. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 17 carries for 70 yards. And 4 catches for 58 yards, didn't score. Chase Edmonds did score, though, twice. 2 rushing touchdowns off of 18 yards rushing, 7 carries. Alright, Adam Thielen had 5 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown. Phil Dorsett, 3 catches, 33 yards and a touchdown. Joey Bosa had 2 sacks. Joe Hayden had an interception. Also Tavon Young and Keanu Neal. Neal returned his, though, for a touchdown. For the Bears, Russell Wilson, 35 for 47. 447 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. He also ran for a touchdown. Singletary had a rushing touchdown on 22 yards. Austin Hooper, 8 catches, 74 yards and a touchdown. Willie Snead, 7 carries, 122 and a touchdown. Cleveland Farrell had a sack. And that's the stats for that game. My 3 words, cooking up turnovers. We know the theme for this whole regular season was let Russ cook. Yeah, Russ cooked. He cooked up turnovers in this game. He's got to find a way to bounce back if they want to beat the Falcons next week. All right, moving on to an AFC South matchup. Jags at Titans. The Jaguars won 31-21. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 23 for 35, 357 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. And oddly enough, that was good enough for him to win AFC Offensive Player of the Week. James White had 59 yards rushing on 21 carries. He also had 43 yards receiving on 2 catches and a touchdown. Emmanuel Sanders, 9 catches, 131 yards, and a touchdown. D.D. Westbrook, 8 catches, 135 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bryce Callahan had a pick, and that came off of Titans quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who had 200 yards passing, a touchdown and a pick. He went 16 for 38, though. Le'Veon Bell ran 17 times for 58 yards. Darrell Henderson ran for a touchdown. Kendrick Bourne had 6 catches for 92 yards. And then Darren Fells had 5 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown. So, for Jags and Titans, fear Fitzmagic's beard. Enough said about that. Moving on. Panthers at Buccaneers. Panthers win the game 35-23. Kirk Cousins, 22 for 34, 228 with a touchdown and no picks. Rashad Penny, 16 carries, 99 yards and a touchdown. Dalvin Cook, 2 carries for 8 yards and a touchdown. Amari Cooper, 6 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown. I'll tell you about this defensive stats later for Carolina, what I have down. Justin Herbert, 31 for 52, 386 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 picks. Cam Akers led the way with 18 yards rushing on only 11 carries. DJ Chark, 12 catches, 105 yards, no touchdowns. Those came from Calvin Ridley, off of 7 catches and 137 yards. But this Panthers defense, though. I'm going to start with Maurice Hurst. He had 5 tackles. He had 2.5 sacks. There were 5 sacks in total. Jabril Peppers had 9 tackles and an interception. J.C. Jackson, though, 8 tackles, 2 picks. And that won him NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Speaking of defense, my 3 words for this game: ruling with defense. And I spell it R-H-U-L. Because Matt Rule, known for offense when he was a coach of Baylor or something like that, he comes in, he spends the first draft in real life. What does he do? He focuses on the defense. I mean, he kind of had to when Luke Kuechly retired. But, is that there? He gets 5 sacks, 3 interceptions. It's just growing pains for Justin Herbert. Since they're going to go down a little bit, maybe. So let's get to this next game. The Broncos at the Steelers. Steelers win 17-10. For Denver's side, it is Colin Kaepernick. And once again, I forgot to write down his yardage. I am sorry about that. I'm going to fix this again. I'll make sure before I go through week 3, I will make sure every stat is down. But he threw a touchdown and 2 picks. Todd Gurley, 18 carries for 79 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 5 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. For Pittsburgh, Gardner Minshew, 19 for 36, 186 yards. No touchdowns, but no picks. Gus Edwards, 22 for 93, and a touchdown. Chase Claypool had 7 carries for 7 catches for 54 yards. Jadeveon Clowney had 3 of the 6 sacks from Pittsburgh. LaMarcus Joyner and Fred Warner each picked off Kaepernick, and Kai Forbath went 3 for 3 on field goals. But anyway, defense stands out. Those are my 3 words for this game. I mean, 6 sacks, 2 picks on Kaepernick, who's back in the league. That's going to stand for something. Anyway, moving on. Rams and Eagles. Rams win 27-20. Deshaun Watson, 21 for 36, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Nick Chubb, 17 carries, 73 yards. Rex Burkhead, 17 yards rushing, but he had 64 yards receiving and a touchdown. O.J. Howard, 7 for 100 and a touchdown. Robbie Anderson, 2 catches, 25 yards and a touchdown. There were 6 total sacks by this Rams defense, 3 of them from the other Chubb, Bradley Chubb. For Philadelphia, Kyler Murray went 21 for 39, 265, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Alvin Kamara had 100 yards rushing. He also had 52 yards receiving on 2 catches, and one of them was a touchdown. Terry McLaurin had 5 for catches, 57 yards and a touchdown. Defense also sacked Deshaun Watson 5 times. Rams and Eagles stuck at 3rd. Let me explain why. The Rams, I think they had 14 third down conversions. They went 7 for 14, which is okay, but it's not great. But the Eagles, they went 4 for 14. You can't do that and expect to win games. You got to pick it up. And we're going to move on now to the Falcons at the Cowboys, where the Cowboys win 31-24. For the Falcons, Dak Prescott faces the Cowboys for the first time. 25 for 36, 277 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Josh Jacobs had 83 yards rushing. Chris Godwin, 5 catches, 84 yards and a touchdown. David Njoku had 4 catches for 34 and a touchdown. Ty Montgomery had 1 catch, but it was a 9-yard touchdown. And defensively, Rock Ya-Sin and Avery Williamson picked off the Cowboys quarterback, which is Tom Brady. Speaking of Brady, he went 22 for 36, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and those 2 picks. Damian Williams ran for 26 times for 117 yards. He also caught the ball 4 times for 61 yards and a touchdown. But there was one rushing touchdown, and it came from rookie running back DeAndre Swift. 15 carries, 15 yards on 4 carries, and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs had 5 catches for 70 yards and the other touchdown. Chuck Clark, though, had a pick 6. For Falcons Cowboys, Brady owns Falcons. That is pretty much cut and dry, plain and simple. Lions and Packers. Lions win 34-28. Nick Foles, 19 for 29, 269, nice yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Kareem Hunt, 18 carries, 129 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Anthony Miller, 6 catches, 142 yards, and a touchdown. Jamal Adams had a pick late, and that was off of Packers QB Patrick Mahomes, 29 for 49, 333 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Eckler ran the ball 13 times for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hayden Hurst had 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Lions pounce early. That's my 3 words. They had like a 94-yard score from Foles to Miller. Hunt had a 60-yard touchdown run. Packers had a chance to win late, but there was the Jamal Adams interception. That's why. All right, the Vikings at the Colts. Vikings take the victory by the score of 31-21. Jared Goff had 23 for 38 for 248 yards. He also ran for a touchdown. He didn't throw a pick. He didn't throw a passing touchdown. Mark Ingram threw 21 times for 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Laviska Shenault had 6 catches for 74 yards, while Kambu Grugier-Hill had 9 tackles and 2 picks. For the Colts, Joe Burrow won 22 for 35, 250 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Latavius Murray, 8 carries, 24 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Noah Fant went 5 for 39, caught 5 for 39, and a touchdown. Yannick Ngakoue, 2.5 sacks. So for the Vikings and the Colts, mark the end zone. I tried to get clever with this one and be like, hey, like for treasure maps, X marks the spot. Mark Ingram ran 2 touchdowns. Mark the end zone. It's corny. I'm sorry. It was the best I could do at that moment. Moving on to Bills and Dolphins. Bills won 38-16. Drew Lock went 21 for 34, 256 yards, no touchdowns, but he threw a pick. Christian McCaffrey, 23 carries, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. Damian Harris ran 8 times for 32 yards and 2 touchdowns. Most catches on that for the Bills was Jacob Hollister, had 6 catches for 42 yards, but the yards went to Landry, 4 catches, 61 yards. Sidney Jones had an interception. Julian Love also had an interception, but he returned it for a touchdown. And that was off of Dolphin QB Drew Brees. 23 for 40, 235 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. James Robinson had 42 yards rushing. Devontae Freeman also had 22 yards rushing, but he had 5 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown. Darius Slayton had 8 catches for 70 yards. Emmanuel Mosley with the interception off of Locke. My 3 words are no gentle breeze, because first 2 weeks in Miami have not been good for him. One, it's back-to-back weeks they've been blown out by divisional opponents, and if they have a short week going on the road to Jacksonville, it just looks like setup failure. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't mean to do it with my middle finger. But we are going to keep on going to the 49ers at the Jets. And San Francisco wins this game 38-17. Teddy Bridgewater, 18 for 28, 266, a touchdown, no picks. Joe Mixon, 24 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins, 12 carries, 50 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jesse James, 7 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown. For the Jets, it's Phillip Rivers, 18 for 27, 221, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Chris Carson, 44 yards rushing. Larry Fitzgerald, 5 catches, 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 49ers Jets, mixing it up. M-I-X-O-N. I know, you gotta mix things up here. I think Mixon has done great. He's had a really good comeback story. He's put the past behind him, and he has just done well. That's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to move on to Washington football team at the Cardinals. And Washington football team has a win, 32-28. Cam Newton, 25 for 37, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. James Conner had 70 yards rushing. Marvin Jones, 66 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Tyler Boyd had 86 yards receiving and a touchdown. Garyon Conley, 9 tackles, have a sack and a pick. Minka Fitzpatrick, 6 tackles and a pick. And that's off Lamar Jackson. 26 for 43, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Raheem Mostert, 7 carries, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Duke Johnson had 20 yards rushing, but he had 2 catches for 15 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Kid almost played the jackpot because it's 7 carries, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Washington Cardinals, close to super. Super Cam almost came back. And it's going to be amazing to see what he does back with his coach, Ron Rivera. All right. Chiefs at Chargers. First home Chargers game at SoFi Stadium. And it is the it's the Chargers winning 36-35. Baker Mayfield went 32 for 48 for 404 yards. He threw for 4 touchdowns. He also ran for 52 yards and a touchdown. Melvin Gordon had 66 yards rushing. He also had 9 catches for 138 yards and a touchdown. Michael Thomas, 7 catches, 92 yards, touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 5 catches, 85 yards, touchdown. Jakeem Grant, 4 catches, 33 yards, and a touchdown. For the Chargers, Aaron Rodgers, 27 for 45, 285 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott, 16 carries, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. Michael Pittman Jr., 6 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Rashad Perriman, 3 catches, 33 yards, and a touchdown. Now we go to one stat I left out. Baker also threw 5 picks. 2 to Jaquiski Tarr, 1 to Dre Greenlaw, another one for Devondre Campbell, and the other one for Carlton Davis III. So, 3 words, Baker, too dangerous. Yeah, he's explosive. He got the 4 passing touchdowns. He ran for a touchdown. He threw 5 picks as well. Clean it up. All right, we got 3 games left here. Ravens at Texans. It's the Texans 24, Ravens 17. Ben Roethlisberger, 16 for 29, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is for the Ravens. David Johnson, 61 yards rushing, also 60 yards receiving. Paris Campbell had 6 catches, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Simmons had a pick, and that's off of Jimmy Garoppolo. 22 for 34, 264, no touchdowns, but the pick. Saquon Barkley, 18 carries, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns, also 27 yards receiving. T.Y. Hilton had 4 catches for 43 yards, and he had a 2-yard touchdown run. Watch the quads. That's my 3 words I came up with. Saquon Barkley, massive quads. I think you get the picture. Moving on now to the Sunday night game, Patriots at Seahawks. Patriots destroy them 52-24. Ryan Tannehill went 24 for 36, 261 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks. Derrick Henry, 19 carries, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. Frank Gore had 27 yards rushing, but he also had 3 catches for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jared Cook had 5 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown. Jamison Crowder, 5 catches, 30 yards, 2 touchdowns. Picks by Marlon Humphrey, Jawan Bentley, and Terrell Edmonds. Of the Seahawks quarterback, Jameis Winston. 26 for 47, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Kenyon Drake ran the ball for 80 yards. He also had 76 yards receiving. Also running the ball for 14 yards and a touchdown was fullback Kyle Juszczyk. Sammy Watkins had 7 catches for 87 yards. Virgil Green had 3 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown. Demarcus Robinson had 3 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. My 3 words would be turnovers with coffee. It's in Seattle. It's known for Starbucks. Jameis Winston brought his turnover factory with him to Seattle. Kenyon Drake also fumbled the ball. So there's 4 turnovers for you. Hope you enjoy your coffee. And then lastly, Saints at the Raiders, the home opening game for the brand new Las Vegas Raiders. And Saints play spoiler in overtime 33-27. Daniel Jones for the Saints went 40 for 58 for 451 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. And that won him NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Aaron Jones had 133 yards rushing on 25 carries. Also 52 yards receiving on 9 catches. Adrian Peterson had a carry for no yards and a touchdown. That was his only carry of the game, and it came in overtime. That won them the game. Hunter Henry had 9 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. Quincy Newman had 8 catches for 104 yards. Mike Williams, 6 catches, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For Vegas, Josh Allen went 20 for 52, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Philip Lindsay had 76 yards rushing on 28 carries, also 50 yards receiving on 8 catches. Mark Andrews had 78 yards receiving and a touchdown on 8 catches. Marquise Brown only had 1 catch, but it was a 2-yard touchdown, and it was to tie the game late. It wasn't no time left in the 4th quarter. Randall Cobb, though, had 7 catches for 85 yards as well. Also, the Raiders ran a fake field goal, and Tyrod Taylor ran for a 28-yard touchdown. Marcus Davenport and Ryan Kerrigan each had 3 sacks on Danny Dimes. We had Saunders, I think this is Kalen Saunders, had 2 sacks. Malik Jefferson had a sack. Malcolm Jenkins had 7 tackles and a pick, and the pick of Danny Jones. But I'm just going to say, for this game, Danny dropping dimes. It's alliteration, and it summed up perfectly what he did. He was hooking up with Mike Williams all day. He had Hunter Henry all day. Quincy Enunwa, I should say. Aaron Jones pounding the rock. That's what it is. Anyway, that's it for the stats. We're gonna have some stuff for week 3, but before I end it, I'm gonna tell you guys about the breakout chances for week 3. I went through every team, okay, do we have any breakout chances? And yes, we do. We're gonna start with Cincinnati. David Moore needs 2 touchdowns or 100+ yards rushing or receiving. For Buffalo, Sidney Jones IV needs to hold their opponent to under 200 yards passing or get 1+ of the interceptions, forced fumbles, sacks, or tackles for loss. O'Shane Ximines on the Buccaneers needs to hold them to under 250 yards or 1 of the, interceptions, forced fumbles, tackles for loss, sacks. For Miami and Atlanta, Miami Romeo Okwara and for Atlanta Kyle Phillips is going to be the same thing for him, under 100 yards rushing or 1+ of the above. All right, Washington football team, Washington football team, and for New England, Terrell Edmonds, under 200 yards passing or 1+ of the above. For San Francisco, Jesse James, and for Tennessee, Kendrick Bourne, 2 touchdowns or 100+ yards rushing receiving. There's that. But the biggest one of them all is Aaron Jones. If he wants to be superstar X Factor, he needs to get 200 yards plus rushing receiving or 4 touchdowns. That is going to be a tough test. Will he get it? We'll find out next time. Until then, have a good day.